Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, 2 missing persons cases unsolved in Victoria years later. See what's being done to find new leads. Plus, a Port Lavaca resident is shocked by a hefty water bill that arrived out of the blue. What caused the surprise and how the city is responding. Plus, storms sweep through central Texas. A look at the damage left behind.
Well, another afternoon and more stormy weather out in far west Texas. It looks like it'll be visiting us tomorrow morning. So yes, we do have more showers available. We'll talk about it coming up in a moment.
Plus, a disturbing find at a Shreveport company leads police to a Dallas funeral home. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. 2 missing persons cases are weighing heavily on the Victoria community years after the young men were last seen. Brian Alejandro Galvan Gutierrez was just 20 when he was reported missing in September of 2021. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, he was actually seen the day after he was reported missing, but has not been seen since. There's also Jeremy Alexander Vasquez, who would be 21 today. He disappeared back in February 2020. Recently, the center released an progressed photo, hoping it might spark new leads. This week, the Victoria Police Department reached out to the Texas Attorney General's office for guidance on a public records request from the 25 Now News team. We are pushing for more answers in Gutierrez's case. A similar request was made earlier this year about Vasquez. It's worth noting there were no public alerts when either case was first reported, and Vasquez's name was even misspelled in the original report sent to the National Center. Well, a 3-year-old mistake leaves a Port Lavaca woman with a high water bill. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with her and the city to find out what's going on. Ray?
Yes, Shawna. Julie Herrera recently received a water bill for almost $350. She moved into her home in August of 2022. That's when the balance should have shown up, but it didn't. The city says it got behind due to a malware attack and in 2020 and then COVID-19. And then the city also had new meters installed. In the standard bad debt review, it found some customers owed money. The city of Port Lavaca says it's working with customers caught in this situation. For Herrera, the city lowered what she owes to about $229.
You could be at work and come home to no water because you were not aware that you had an outstanding balance, or be on vacation and come home and you have no water and it's after hours, and what do?
The city of Port Lavaca is allowing Herrera to make monthly payments of about $38. She just needs to go in and sign paperwork. That's on top of her regular monthly water bill, and Herrera says it's still a burden. The city says its finance department has not undertaken an audit of bad debt since 2019, so it's not adding late fees to these water bills, and they're working with affected customers. Shawna?
All right, thank you, Ray. Well, it looks like the rain is tapering off and maybe coming to an end, or at least just not seeing quite so much of it. Let's go to Mac Perez for a first look at our forecast. Mac, a lot of people are planning to be outside this weekend for graduation ceremonies. So, what are we looking at?
Well, at least for Friday night, things are looking better, but we cannot rule out the following. You see out here another band of showers. This is big and will drift across the state, courtesy of this little frontal system, which will actually be pushing down into our region. I will say the following. I believe that tomorrow morning we'll have another round of thunderstorms, and then they should start pulling out. If you're going to the Friday night graduations, an umbrella, either for the sun or for the rain, should be helpful. We'll have more details on your weekend forecast coming up a little bit later on.
All right, we were spared, but Central Texas residents are cleaning up after severe storms brought heavy rain, hail, and high winds there. A gas station in Austin was left mangled by the powerful winds. You can see part of a large canopy collapsed onto several cars. Winds also toppled trees and power poles. There are reports that wind gusts at the airport exceeded 75 miles per hour at the height of the storm. It is still unclear if there were any injuries. Authorities are trying to figure out how the remains of a stillborn infant made it from Texas to Louisiana in a laundry shipment. The 1-day-old was supposed to be prepared for a cremation, but somehow got misplaced. Madison Edwards reports.
You know, we are very well accustomed to working homicides in Shreveport. This is a different set of circumstances, one that I can't say we've ever seen before.
Police say employees at Ausco Uniforms in Shreveport discovered the body of a stillborn infant early Wednesday morning among linens shipped from a Dallas funeral home.
It was immediately apparent that the child had possibly been from a funeral home.
Police discovered the linens came from the Golden Gate Funeral Home and Crematorium in Dallas. According to police, the infant, who we've learned was Kendall Dwayne Xavier Malone, died in early May and was scheduled for cremation.
Officers found that the child did appear to have been embalmed. There was some significant discoloration to the child. It was a very strange scene, something that we don't come across very often.
Instead of being cremated, Malone's body ended up in a commercial laundry shipment traveling more than 180 miles to Shreveport.
They were able to determine that the load had come in from a funeral home in the Dallas area. A child was set to have been cremated, a one-day-old child that had passed away, and that child somehow wound up in the linens and was found here in Shreveport.
The Caddo Parish Coroner's Office has taken custody of the remains, and the Texas Funeral Service Commission has been notified. In 2012, Golden Gate Funeral Home had been featured on the TLC reality show Best Funeral Ever. We did some checking and found the business has one prior disciplinary strike with the commission. We also reached out to owner John Beckwith for comment. He declined to speak on the situation.
The Uniform and Linen Service, in a statement, says it is fully cooperating with the investigation. Texas House Bill 6, which now heads to the governor, would extend how long schools can place students in-school suspensions. Right now it's 3 days. This would extend it to as long as the school sees appropriate. To read the full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com. And this brings us to our viewer poll today. What concerns you most about removing the time limit for in-school suspensions? Is it a potential for unfair punishment, negative impact on learning, a lack of consistency across schools, or do you not have concerns about this possible change? We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And right now, 49%, 50% say potential for unfair punishment, and 38% of voters say they're not concerned with removing a limit for in-school suspensions. So continue voting. We want to hear from you, and we'll have the latest numbers on 25 News Now at 6. We are celebrating the graduating class of 2025. Ainsley Haynes is graduating from Victoria East High School tomorrow night. Uncle Ron, Aunt Meta, Sydney, Lily, Snow, and Mocha say we are so proud of your accomplishments receiving your CCMA and acceptance to MSU this fall. We love you. CJ Jefferson is another student graduating tomorrow night from Victoria East High School. The crew says, "Congratulations, baby. We are very proud of you. We cannot wait to watch you live out one of your biggest dreams, and it is only the beginning. Keep up the great work. Many blessings. We love you, son." And Jaden Frere will walk the stage with Victoria West High School on Saturday. Your Popo Jesse and Christine Frere say, "We are so proud of your achievements, and we pray that God blesses your future with his promises for an abundant life. We love you very much." If you have a special grad you want to celebrate, send in a photo and message for them before June 13th. We are featuring our area grads on air and social media. Go to crossroadstoday.com, click on the Entertainment tab, then the Contest tab to submit yours. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today, hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. If you think your attention span is shrinking, you might be surprised by what the research says and what you can do about it. Plus, a new study reveals troubling changes in kids' breakfast cereals. Find out what's really in the bowl. The Department of Health and Human Services has canceled a contract with Moderna for the development of a bird flu vaccine. The $590 million contract was announced just days before President Trump was sworn in for a second term. The announcement comes as Moderna reported positive data from an early phase trial on the mRNA-based vaccine. This is the same technology Moderna used to create its vaccine for COVID-19, which has been found to be safe and effective. However, in a statement on Wednesday, the department says the project does not meet scientific or safety expectations for continued investment. If you find it hard to pay attention at work, you're not alone. In the digital age, there are countless distractions that can keep you from getting things done. But there are ways to set yourself up for success each day. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on how to maintain focus even with a shorter attention span.
From smartphones to computer screens, we spend much of our lives in front of a device.
If you're like many people watching right now, you may feel like your attention span is shorter than it used to be, and you'd probably be right.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta says research has shown that over the past couple of decades, attention spans have significantly shrunk.
Back in 2004, workers could pay attention to a computer screen for about 2.5 minutes. A few years later, that dipped to about 75 seconds. And the most recent study found that workers pay attention to a screen for only around 47 seconds before getting distracted.
Gupta says it also takes about 25 minutes to get back on task after a distraction. And since the average American spends at least 10 hours a day in front of a screen, that's a lot of lost time. But there are ways to set yourself up for success during the workday. Researchers suggest doing the most repetitive work of the day at the beginning of the day when you're least alert. And when you're at peak alertness, which for many is a little later in the day, do the work that requires the most mental bandwidth. Then at the end of the workday, check off the list of things you still need to accomplish.
Then offload those things from your brain by putting that list away until tomorrow.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The CDC also estimates that in 2023, about 15.5 million U.S. adults had a diagnosis of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which can significantly impact a person's ability to stay focused. Treatment for ADHD includes behavior therapy and medication. If you bought a kitchen faucet from Amazon, check the brand. Over 100,000 faucets have been recalled due to high levels of lead. The recall affects 3 models sold under different brands, and they were sold online between January and May of this year. Testing found lead could leak into the water, posing serious health risks for infants and young children. No injuries have been reported, but anyone with the faucet is urged to stop using it and contact the seller for a full refund. A new study says children's breakfast cereal is becoming less healthy. Researchers looked at more than 1,000 products marketed to kids under 12, released between 2010 and 2023. They found protein and fiber levels dropped, while fat, sodium, and sugar content all went up. In fact, one serving of many cereals contains nearly half the daily added sugar limit for kids. Experts recommend healthier options like eggs, oatmeal with fruit, or whole grain toast with peanut butter.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It looks pretty good out there, a little on the humid side, but hey, what do you expect this time of year? We're looking at 91 right about now. It feels like 100 because of the humidity, and that will be definitely with us for the weekend. We'll probably look at 91 as our high for today compared to an average of 91. No rain overnight. You know that thing that was in Austin? It was headed toward us, and it just stopped right at I-10. We'll talk more about that and your weekend coming up in a moment.
25 News Now is here to keep you informed and prepared. Is your family hurricane ready? Join Chief Meteorologist McLovio Perez, Trey Mining, and Parker Cox for Storm Prep 2025, June 2nd at 6:30 p.m. on KAVU TV. Get the 2025 hurricane forecast, learn the latest in storm tracking, marine life dangers, and why checking your insurance now could save you later. Storm Prep 2025, June 2nd at 6:30 on KAVU TV. Don't face the storm unprepared.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Pretty good looking day out there, hot and humid. That's kind of going to be the pattern for a while now that we have so much water on the ground. You're thinking, okay, we're in the clear, no more showers. Well, we got a little pop-up activity caused by the heat and the humidity out there, but actually what we're looking at is in far west Texas. You'd say, well, that's so far away. That's 800 miles. Is it going to make it? Well, yeah, the computer models are telling us that that whole line is sort of drifting through. We actually have a frontal system in North Texas that's going to also be dropping south. So those two combined are going to give us that chance. When does it get here? Well, tomorrow morning. Again, let me show you what we're talking about. Now, in West Texas, we already have the severe thunderstorm watch out. They're getting the big boomers already out there. This activity obviously is going to get heavy out there. Whether or not it stays that strong all the way across the state is a big question, but at this point in time, we saw what happened in Austin last night. You'll see about it in a minute, but you can see how the east winds are certainly blowing, but we're all blowing into that little frontal system right there, and that is the destabilizing factor that's causing all that thunderstorm activity. Now, this front is actually forecast to come down slowly into our area. So as it continues, it does continue the chance for some garden variety showers tomorrow. Now, the severe stuff, according to Storm Prediction Center, will be out in Louisiana, but we have a chance of some rain. That would be on your Friday. And then we go into your Saturday, and we still have the possibility of some marginal chance of getting some isolated big thunderstorms out there. So it is, shall we say, we're back in the rain business, and it's not completely over with as we get to the weekend. Now, beginning Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's just going to be hot and steamy as our pattern changes around. Well, we have Alvin, the tropical storm in the Pacific. At this point in time, it looks like it's going to make a beeline toward Cabo San Lucas, which is okay. Well, not okay, but it's only going to be a tropical storm, probably 45, 50 mile an hour winds as it moves ashore. Not a pleasant day, but it could be a whole lot worse. The folks in Acapulco remember 2 years ago when they got slammed by that storm. We're looking at overnight low temperatures in the mid 70s and highs tomorrow. Yep, pushing back up into the 90s. It's definitely going to feel like it. Now, here's Future Tracker. There you see the line of storms, and there you see it going forward into the weekend. It is basically moving in our direction, so we're going to have to watch that fairly careful. Now, if you're worried about Friday evening, check with us at 5. We'll tell you exactly what shower activity is around the area, so you don't have to worry about the graduation service. Looking mostly cloudy to partly cloudy with a couple of showers, I believe, in the overnight time period coming in early in the morning. And then 87 will be the high in Cuero. After tomorrow, the shower chance will decrease down to only 20% on Saturday, and then just hot and steamy as we get on into the low 90s next week. We'll be feeling that heat index for sure. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. If you scan that, you can put Crossroads Today on your phone, and we can send you all the bulletins you need to know about. And that's it from now. Let's toss it back to Shawna.
Still to come, house hunters have more choices than ever this spring, but there is a twist in the market. We'll explain coming up. Stocks edged higher on Thursday as Wall Street assessed the outlook for President Trump's tariff agenda. The Dow closed up 117 points, the S&P 500 was up nearly 24 points, and the Nasdaq was up 75 points. Oil is down 93 cents to $60.94 per barrel. First-time jobless claims rose more than expected last week. The Labor Department says roughly 240,000 people made initial claims for jobless benefits. That's a hike of 14,000 applicants compared to the prior week, more than most economists had predicted. The report also shows it's taking longer for unemployed people to get a new job, with continuing claims rising to a level not seen since November 2021. These are initial findings that could be revised. The numbers also do not include federal employees who are tallied separately. For the week ending May 17th, more than 600 federal workers filed for unemployment. That's close to twice the amount that was recorded 12 months ago. A federal appeals court has hit pause on a lower court ruling that had blocked some of President Donald Trump's broad tariffs. The court's now asking both sides to submit written arguments on whether those tariffs should stay blocked, and they have got until early next month to do it. Julia Benbrook has the latest on Wednesday's decision that set all of this in motion.
The talk on tariffs continues, and President Donald Trump's economic agenda is once again uncertain after a federal court ruled that he overstepped his authority with those sweeping tariffs. The three-judge panel at the U.S. Court of International Trade, made up of judges appointed by different presidents, including one by Trump himself, ruled in favor of a permanent injunction, which would block the global tariffs the president announced on Liberation Day, citing emergency economic powers. The ruling would also halt the 10% universal tariffs and those on China, Mexico, and Canada, advertised as being designed to prevent fentanyl from entering the United States. It does not impact the 25% tariffs on autos, steel, and aluminum. Those were subject to a different law than the one Trump cited for his broader trade announcements. The administration immediately appealed the court's ruling, and White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended Trump's sweeping tariffs on Thursday.
The president's rationale for imposing these powerful tariffs was legally sound and grounded in common sense. President Trump correctly believes that America cannot function safely long-term if we are unable to scale advanced domestic manufacturing capacity, have our own secure critical supply chains, and our defense industrial base is dependent on foreign adversaries.
This ruling comes as Trump tries to use the tariffs as a negotiating tool for trade agreements. White House officials have expressed concern about what the ruling might mean for ongoing bilateral talks. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
If you're looking for a new place to live, you've got options. A new report from Redfin says there were 500,000 more home sellers than buyers in April, the biggest gap since the company started tracking data in 2013. Analysts blame lower demand on trade tensions and fears of a recession, but even with more homes on the market, prices are still climbing. The National Association of Realtors says the median price rose nearly 2% last month. A Bank of America survey found most potential buyers are waiting for lower rates and prices. Well, coming up next, students at Chandler Elementary got a surprise history lesson on their last day of school, thanks to a mysterious box sealed away 25 years ago.
Tonight, Elon Musk criticizes President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Will it pass the Senate? And what could it mean for you? Plus, the manhunt for the former police chief convicted of murder. World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Well, students at Chandler Elementary took a trip back in time on their last day of school. Literally, the school, which opened in the fall of 2000, was previously the Stanley Tigers. They finished out the 1999-2000 school year. So they carefully sealed, taped up, and stored away a time capsule back then with instructions to open it in 2025. Well, the future is now. Today's kids got to explore treasures from 25 years ago, like cassette tapes, chalkboard erasers, even paper report cards that you use for each grading period.
Oh, no.
Yeah, some items had them totally stumped, thinking, what is this?
It's chalk.
There were other things like vintage fashion, and they had photo albums full of class pictures, so gave everyone a great laugh. And I think the teachers had just as much fun looking through all of that as the students did. So a little blast from the past to wrap up the school year. And there's even a newspaper from 25 years ago and all of the kids there. So
what's a cassette?
Exactly. There were a few things where they're like, oh, we know what that is, but yeah, a lot of it was...
Remember blackboards? They're gone.
Yes, there was a little personal blackboard and the eraser.
And of course that sound when you go.
Oh yeah, no, don't remind me.
That seemed like a lot of fun there. Well, folks, we do have one more shot at getting thunder showers coming through. You're thinking, oh, it's about time this is over with, but you can't rule it out. Tomorrow morning, I do believe we'll have a little thunder activity around the area, and it's going to go scattered for the afternoon. So if you're worried about Friday afternoon graduations, check in with us at 5 o'clock. We'll certainly let you know what is happening before you head out to the stadium. Other than that, we're looking at hot and steamy weather as we get into next week.
Mosquito season.
Oh, boy. They'll be wearing boots.
Yes. All right. We'll see you back here in 30 minutes right after World News.